There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is.
She thinks it's a solid case at least, and is saying, show everybody what you have so they can see true evil. Within her capacity of chairman and CEO of Turning Point USA, they could be more transparent about what happened that day. People don't like the stuff that they've seen about Mikey McCoy. They don't like what they've seen about Rob McCoy.
To believe. Courage is hope in action.
What happens when one of the loudest voices in media decides to take on her own allies? Candace Owens has built her career on bold takes and fearless commentary, but this time she's turning her spotlight on Turning Point USA, the very organization she's often been linked with. And what she's saying is shaking the foundation of the group. This isn't just another headline. It's a story filled with strange footage, whispered rumors, and accusations that could change the way people see TPUSA.
She thinks it's a solid case at least, and is saying, show everybody what you have so they can see true evil. Within her capacity of chairman and CEO of Turning Point USA, they could be more transparent about what happened that day. People don't like the stuff that they've seen about Mikey McCoy. They don't like what they've seen about Rob McCoy.
And Candace's first move was to call out someone at the very top. Candace Owens didn't ease into this controversy she came out swinging. Her first target was Erika Kirk, the newly minted CEO of Turning Point USA. To Candace, Erika's sudden rise to power looked less like a grieving widow stepping up and more like someone seizing an opportunity.
It would not have been my advice for Erika in a stage of grieving to go from being the widow to being the CEO and the chairman of the company. If I was running the company, I would have said, let's put in place an interim CEO, right? Someone below Justin Strife, I think, was the COO. I would have put in an interim CEO and allowed people to figure things out.
Candace told her audience that Erika's behavior felt off. Instead of demanding answers about Charlie's passing, Erika was busy talking about blessings, opportunities, and the bright future of TPUSA.
Gave assurance to people that Turning Point USA is continuing, and it is. I mean, we are so blessed to have more work than we even could ever dream of. I mean, it's beautiful.
That tone didn't sit right with Candace, who argued that the organization should have been focused on transparency, not branding. And then came the bigger accusation. Candace suggested Erika was part of a plan to elevate Mikey McCoy as Charlie's successor. She claimed Erika was hyping him up, positioning him as the amazing chief of staff who could carry the torch.
The entire issue and the energy right now is that people, irrespective of what's happening on paper, don't believe the story. They don't believe the story. And you are, and of course this is only a snippet of the interview, so I'm sure more will be said here, but I'm getting that you have seen the case, you think it's a solid case, she thinks it's a solid case at least, and is saying, show everybody what you have so they can see true evil. Within her capacity of chairman and CEO of Turning Point USA, they could be more transparent about what happened that day. People don't like the stuff that they've seen about Mikey McCoy. They don't like what they've seen about Rob McCoy. They don't like the history of Rob and Mikey McCoy and their involvement here. They don't like the video of Terrell. They don't believe what time text messages were sent or when the phone calls took place. You know, Rob McCoy is lying. In the areas that you can control the transparency, I think doing that would be beneficial to Turning Point USA, because I don't think Turning Point USA is going to survive.
To Candace, this wasn't just suspicious, it was calculated. What made her claims even more explosive was the timing. Candace pointed out that Erika stepped into the CEO role almost immediately, without any interim leadership. In her view, that decision alone raised red flags. Why rush? Why not allow time for grieving, reflection, or investigation? Candace framed herself as the lone voice willing to ask these uncomfortable questions. While others in TPUSA seemed eager to move forward, she insisted that the public deserved answers.
I mean, I've received an unbelievable amount of emails from people that are convinced that Charlie's actually still alive, right? And it's not sad because those people are crazy. They're actually reacting to the lack of emotion and the lack of drive that is coming out of Turning Point USA to figure out how to build them. Yeah, that is how absurd they are acting. Just move on, just donate to Turning Point USA. This is what Charlie would want, and that's his legacy.
And she made it clear, If Erika wasn't going to demand transparency, then she would. But the deeper Candace dug, the stranger things looked, especially when one clip of Mikey McCoy started making the rounds. Candace Owens didn't ease into this controversy. She came out swinging. Her first target was Erika Kirk, the newly minted CEO of Turning Point USA. To Candace, Erika's sudden rise to power looked less like a grieving widow stepping up and more like someone seizing an opportunity. Candace told her audience that Erika's behavior felt off. Instead of demanding answers about Charlie's passing, Erika was busy talking about blessings, opportunities, and the bright future of TPUSA. That tone didn't sit right with Candace, who argued that the organization should have been focused on transparency, not branding. And then came the bigger accusation. Candace suggested Erika was part of a plan to elevate Mikey McCoy as Charlie's successor. She claimed Erika was hyping him up, positioning him as the amazing chief of staff who could carry the torch. To Candace, this wasn't just suspicious, it was calculated. What made her claims even more explosive was the timing. Candace pointed out that Erika stepped into the CEO role almost immediately without any interim leadership. In her view, that decision alone raised red flags. Why rush? Why not allow time for grieving, reflection, or investigation? Candace framed herself as the lone voice willing to ask these uncomfortable questions. While others in TPUSA seemed eager to move forward, she insisted that the public deserved answers. And she made it clear, if Erika wasn't going to demand transparency, then she would. But the deeper Candace dug, the stranger things looked, especially when one clip of Mikey McCoy started making the rounds. When the footage from September 10th began circulating, audiences were stunned. Mikey McCoy, the chief of staff, standing just feet away from Charlie, didn't react the way most people would expect in a moment of chaos.
Here's what I've come to believe. Courage is hope in action.
Instead of ducking, rushing forward, or even showing visible shock, Mikey calmly lifted a phone to his ear and walked away. That clip became the centerpiece of countless discussions online. Viewers replayed it over and over, asking the same question. Why did he look so calm? Why didn't he even glance back? For many, the reaction felt unnatural, almost rehearsed. The confusion only deepened when Pastor Rob McCoy, Mikey's father, later claimed that his son had blood all over him during the incident.
And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, "Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck. Please call every pastor and pray." It's okay, son. He has wits about him. He was just directing. He had blood all over him. And
that statement didn't match the footage at all. In fact, people pointed out that Mikey's clothes looked clean and his demeanor was steady. So why would Rob describe something so different from what everyone could see? Candace Owens seized on this contradiction. To her, it wasn't just a minor detail, it was evidence that the official story had holes. She argued that Mikey's calmness and Rob's exaggerated account were signs that something wasn't being told to the public. And the questions didn't stop there. Erika Kirk later claimed she was the one on the phone with Mikey during the incident, which directly conflicted with Rob's version of events. Two different stories, one piece of footage, and no clear answers. For Candace, this was the turning point. She told her audience that if leadership couldn't even keep their stories straight about what happened in those crucial moments, then the public had every reason to doubt the narrative. But while Mikey's reaction raised eyebrows, Erika's next move raised even bigger questions. Almost immediately after Charlie's passing, Erika Kirk stepped into the role of chairman and CEO of Turning Point USA. To many, this looked like a bold move, but to Candace Owens, it looked rushed, calculated, and deeply unsettling. Candace argued that in a moment of grief, the natural step would have been to appoint an interim leader, someone neutral, someone who could steady the organization while emotions were raw and questions were still unanswered. Instead, Erika claimed the top spot without hesitation. And what stood out even more was Erika's tone. While the public expected sorrow, Erika spoke about blessings, opportunities, and the bright future of TPUSA. She reassured supporters that the organization was thriving, even describing the workload as beautiful. To Candace, this wasn't the language of someone mourning, it was the language of someone securing power. Critics echoed Candace's concerns, saying Erika's upbeat CEO persona felt disconnected from the reality of what had just happened. Rather than demanding transparency about Charlie's case, Erika seemed focused on branding, fundraising, and projecting strength. Candace told her audience that this was a red flag. She believed Erika's quick rise wasn't about leadership, it was about control. And she warned that TPUSA's refusal to slow down and address unanswered questions could destroy trust in the organization. But Erika wasn't the only one Candace had her sights on. Next, she turned her attention to Tyler Boyer and the allegations there were even more explosive. If Candace's claims about Erika raised eyebrows, her next focus on Tyler Boyer, the COO of TPUSA, sent shockwaves through her audience. According to Candace, insiders reached out with stories that painted a troubling picture of Boyer's behavior inside the organization. She alleged that multiple people had spoken about inappropriate relationships with interns and staff, rumors that had circulated quietly for years, but were now being dragged into the spotlight. Candace didn't stop there. She also pointed to Boyer's alleged ties to orphanages abroad, specifically in Ukraine, suggesting that his involvement wasn't as straightforward as it appeared. For viewers, this was where the story took a darker turn. The idea that two top figures in TPUSA, Erika, with her Romanian charity connections, and Tyler with alleged ties to Ukrainian orphanages, could be linked through overseas projects added a layer of mystery. Candace hinted that these connections weren't just coincidental, but part of a bigger, more complicated web. And then came the speculation about Boyer's role in introducing Erika to Charlie. Was he simply a matchmaker, or was there more behind the scenes? Candace raised the possibility that Tyler's influence went beyond personal introductions, suggesting he might have been shaping leadership decisions long before Erika stepped into her CEO role. The whispers about Boyer's political maneuvering in Arizona only added fuel to the fire. Candace's audience began to wonder, was this just a man climbing the ranks of conservative politics, or was there something more calculated happening behind closed doors? And just when it seemed the story couldn't get messier, the threats started rolling in. According to Candace, TPUSA tried to silence her with threats of lawsuits and gag orders. Some even attempted to paint her as unstable, pushing narratives about her mental state. But instead of backing down, Candace doubled down. She dropped more receipts, connected more dots, and made it clear she wasn't going anywhere. This only made the drama bigger. Every time TPUSA tried to push back, Candace's audience grew more curious. And the louder she got, the more the public started asking their own questions. As Candace Owens continued to peel back the layers of this tangled story, something unexpected started happening. Her inbox began flooding with messages not just from fans, but from people who claimed they had their own theories. And one of the most shocking, that Charlie might still be alive. Now, let's be clear, Candace never said she believed that. But she did say this: the reason people are even entertaining that idea is because of how bizarre and emotionless the response from TPUSA has been. In her words, it's not sad because those people are crazy. They're reacting to the lack of emotion and the lack of drive coming out of Turning Point USA. And honestly, she has a point. The organization's leadership hasn't exactly been transparent. There's been no clear information about an autopsy, no confirmation about whether the bullet was recovered. And remember those rumors about the bullet being engraved with words? That detail quietly disappeared from the narrative once people started pointing out that it didn't even make sense. Then there's the timeline. People online have been dissecting text messages, phone calls, and video timestamps, and they're not buying the official story. Some say the footage doesn't match the claims. Others believe key players are lying about where they were and what they saw. And while all this is happening, Erika Kirk is out here smiling in interviews, talking about how blessed she feels to lead the company. That contrast between the public's confusion and the leadership's polished optimism is what's fueling the fire. Candace says it best: they're acting like nothing happened. Just move on. Just donate to Turning Point USA. This is what Charlie would want. But for many, that's not enough. They want answers. They want accountability. And they want to know why the only person asking tough questions is being threatened with lawsuits and labeled unstable. And that's why this drama isn't just about one company. It's about